I'm Yuto, and today on Stachi I'm going to show you how to make authentic Japanese tempura batter with lots of tips and tricks to fry to light and crispy perfection every time. First, we're going to measure 150 ml of still water. I'm using a scale for accuracy. I'm going to chill this water, which will help make the batter light and crispy. I'm also going to chill this bottle of water for my soda stream and make soda water later. Chill them for at least 30 minutes, longer if you have time. I like to chill my dry ingredients too, so sift 150 grams of cake flour and 30 grams of cornstarch into a bowl. It's important to use a low protein flour here because preventing gluten formation is key to making light and crunchy tempura. Using strong flour like bread flour will make the batter chewy and heavy. This is also why I chill it. All my tips in this recipe are to prevent gluten formation. Place the bowl in the freezer until the water is chilled enough to use. Use the waiting time to cut and dry your ingredients. Here I have shrimp, which is my favorite tempura ingredient. I also have lotus root slices, halved asparagus, shiitake mushrooms, and shiso leaves. Other popular ingredients include squid, sweet potato, pumpkin, conga eel, eggplant, and whitefish. I don't recommend using this recipe for chicken. If you want to make chicken tempura, check out my special batter recipe for chicken on my website. When your batter ingredients are nice and cold, start heating your oil. You can use any neutral flavored cooking oil with a high smoke point, but I'm using rice bran oil this time. High-end tempura restaurants typically use extra virgin untoasted sesame oil or a blend of different oils. The best temperature varies depending on the ingredients, but around 180 Celsius, which is 356 Fahrenheit, is the best practice for general ingredients. I highly recommend using a pot with a thermometer like this or a contactless cooking thermometer for accuracy. For best results, make sure your oil is hot before you mix your batter. Once your oil is heated and the batter ingredients are fully chilled, pour the 150 ml of still water into a bowl and add 1 egg. Whip them together using a balloon whisk to make foam, then scoop it out. This will help remove some of the excess egg whites. This recipe makes enough for about 4 people. If you want to make half a batch, use an egg yolk only or mayonnaise containing eggs. 1 egg can be substituted with 1 tablespoon of mayonnaise. Next, add 100 ml salt water. Soda is not a traditional ingredient, but it does make the texture lighter. You can swap it for an equal amount of still water if it's easier for you. Next, we're going to add the flour and starch mixture 1/3 at a time and mix it by drawing crosses with chopsticks. Professionals use special thick chopsticks about as wide as your thumb, but I don't have any of those, so I use normal cooking chopsticks held upside down. This crossing method prevents overmixing. Overmixing causes gluten formation and the tempura will become thick and chewy rather than crispy. A lumpy batter is better than a smooth batter. You can even enjoy the different texture with lumps. You might be wondering why I haven't added any salt or seasoning. In Japan, tempura batter is intentionally plain. There are 2 reasons for this. Firstly, the batter is meant to be subtle so that the flavor of each ingredient can shine. Secondly, tempura is usually served with a dipping sauce or dipping salt, depending on the restaurant. That's where you can get your extra flavor. Finally, add a few ice cubes. Cold batter delays gluten formation and reacts better with hot oil, resulting in puffier, crispier, and more delicious tempura. One last thing. Batter must be mixed immediately before frying after the oil has been preheated. First, we're going to fry the shrimp. Start by coating them in a thin layer of flour to help the batter stick. Dip the shrimp in the batter and then gently place them straight into the preheated oil. Shrimp will take about 2 to 3 minutes. Dip your whisk in the butter and sprinkle it over the shrimp to make them extra puffy and look bigger. Make sure not to overcrowd the pot as this can cause the tempura to stick together. It could also make the oil temperature drop, which could make the batter soggy. This tempura shrimp is not really suitable to put in sushi rolls as the batter is very delicate. Instead, you can place them on top of sushi rice in nigiri style. In Japan, sushi with tempura is usually served as nigiri sushi, with the tempura on top of the rice, drizzled with a special sweet sauce. Tempura is supposed to be quite pale, so don't let them become too golden. Take them out of the oil just as they start to change colour and place them on a wire rack so that excess oil can drain off while you cook the other ingredients. As you fry, bits of butter often break off and float in the oil. To maintain oil quality, remove these bits with a fine mesh spoon between batches, otherwise they can burn, making the oil bitter and discoloured. Next, I'll fry the shiitake mushrooms using the same process as before. Usually, I would recommend frying each ingredient in batches of the same, but I only have 2 shiitake mushrooms, so I'm going to add the asparagus too. Unfortunately, this tempura batter recipe doesn't work in an air fryer because the consistency of the batter is too thin. It will just fall off before it has time to cook. You would need a tempura batter specifically designed for air fryer use, which I don't have at the moment. Just as before, transfer them to a wire rack just as they start to turn golden. Next, I have renkon or lotus root. When this is cut, I like to keep it soaking in water to prevent discoloration. Make sure to dry it thoroughly before coating it in flour. Root vegetables generally take a little longer to cook, but renkon is one of my favourites because it keeps a nice crunch. I mentioned this earlier, but the other good root vegetables for tempura include kabocha and sweet potato. Finally, I'm frying the shiso leaves. Try your best not to let them fold over for the best presentation. Thin ingredients like shiso leaves or nori only take about a minute or sometimes even less. Flip them halfway through to crisp up both sides, then drain on the wire rack. Finally, we're going to use the leftover batter to make some tempura flakes, known in Japanese as tenkasu. Dip your whisk in the batter and shake it into the hot oil to make little bubbles of butter. Mix them around occasionally to break them up. Tenkasu can be used as a topping for udon and soba or even donburi. I drained them on kitchen paper because they're too small for a wire rack. Once you've drained the excess oil, you can keep them in the freezer for convenience. And that's it. Authentic, light and crispy Japanese tempura, best served with tempura dipping sauce or salt. They also make the perfect topping or side for udon or soba noodles. And great news, I've launched a free mobile app that makes following along with my recipes even easier. It's the perfect kitchen companion after watching my videos. You can access step-by-step instructions right on your phone while you cook. The download link is in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. I know I covered a lot of information in this one, so if you prefer to read it, all the tips, tricks and printable recipe are on my blog. The link is on the screen. If you like deep fried food, check out my ultimate chicken karaage video on the screen too. Hope to see you in the next video. Bye.